movie kicks off in Thailand, in a quiet rural village where life usually goes on peacefully. Near the edge of a dense jungle, a group of young boys are spending time by the river, playing with frogs they had just caught from the water. While exploring the riverbank, they suddenly come across something unusual, a huge, mysterious egg lying on the ground. None of them had ever seen anything like it before. Curious and slightly nervous, the boys slowly approach it and decide to touch the strange egg. A short distance away, a fisherman standing at the edge of the river noticed something strange moving toward him in the water. At that very moment, a huge and terrifying creature suddenly emerged from beneath the water and roared so loudly that the souls of everyone present trembled with fear. Everyone froze in terror. The fisherman who witnessed the scene was so shocked that he could not even move. But the strange thing was that the monster completely ignored him and moved straight toward those young boys who were touching its baby's egg. A few hours later in the morning, we see a local detective arriving at the attack site. There he learns that one boy had survived, but he was in such deep shock that he could not say anything. The inspector was also shown two bodies that had been found. His assistant told him that a net had also been found near the victim, and it had a strange, sticky, mud-like substance on it. The detective became confused and began asking what this strange substance could be. However, the assistant could not understand it either, so both of them decided to investigate where the attacker, whether a person or some creature, had fled. Then we see a girl named May, who lived nearby. Her mother, Lynn, woke her up and called her to have breakfast. When May came downstairs, Lynn asked her to wake up her brother as well, because their father had gone fishing the previous night and had not returned since then. Even though she was sleepy, May obeyed her mother and went to her older brother Kang. As soon as Kang heard that his father was missing, he began wandering around the whole village with his little sister, asking everyone about the fisherman. During this search, May became slightly separated from her brother and started walking through the fields around the village. While searching, she found a huge footprint mark in the soil. Following those marks, she eventually found a large egg and thought she should show it to her brother. Excitedly, May brought the big egg home. However, her mother scolded her a lot and told her to return it to wherever she had brought it from. But May refused and stubbornly walked away from her mother, which made Lynn even angrier. Then Lynn decided to go outside with her elder son Kang to search for May. They found that May was near the river, building a special nest for that big egg. Suddenly, the egg began to shake on its own, and May saw that the same giant creature from the river was moving toward them. A few minutes later, Lynn and Kang found May's slipper floating in the water, and both of them began screaming while searching for her. At that moment, Lynn saw a strange creature rising from the depths of the water, and before the mother could warn him, the creature tried to grab Kang. Out of fear, Kang started thrashing his arms and legs in the water to avoid the attack. Then he ran toward the shore, grabbed Lynn's hand, and both of them fled to save their lives. Meanwhile, in a nearby area, two researchers were investigating the river. They were collecting every unusual thing they could find to determine why the environment in that area was facing so many problems. Back in the village, farmers were running like mad to save their lives because the giant creature was attacking every person who came in its path. Sometimes it bit them with its teeth, and other times it struck them violently with its tail. In the midst of this chaos, Kang and Lynn were trying to run as far away from the monster as possible. Along with some surviving people, they escaped through the field. At the same time, the researchers were examining some insects they had found in the field when they slowly began hearing the villagers' screams growing louder. Even after witnessing such destruction with their own eyes, Kang and Lynn did not lose courage. Kang grabbed his mother's hand and pulled her into a bush to hide. There, all the remaining people stayed completely silent so the monster would not notice them. Helplessly, they had to listen to the painful screams of other farmers who were being hunted one by that creature. As soon as Kang saw an opportunity to escape, he said that they had to leave now. But while running, something sharp suddenly struck his shoulder hard, leaving him badly injured. Lynn immediately supported her son and helped him walk by holding his shoulder. Together, they reached the other edge of the field and somehow escaped from the creature, which was now busy guarding its new territory. When they reached the road, a driver saw them and stopped to help. Within a few minutes, doctors and nurses at the city hospital began treating Kang's serious injury. As soon as they heard the whole story from Lynn, the hospital staff immediately called the police station. After receiving the alert from the hospital, a secretary ran to the commander and told him everything. The commander immediately left to talk to the survivors. Lynn tearfully explained that she did not know what that thing was and that she was shattered by the horrifying scenes she had witnessed with her own eyes. The commander understood that perhaps a real demonic monster had become a threat to everyone in the area. Therefore, he decided to take immediate action and went out with his team to investigate the matter thoroughly. Meanwhile, in a neighborhood of the city, a young man was calmly making a call from a phone booth. Suddenly, that river creature appeared in front of him, and the boy ran away in panic. The next morning, Inspector James received another call and arrived at a place where many people had witnessed the attack of the mutant monster with their own eyes. The inspector inspector asked why they had not informed him earlier. The man explained that because of heavy rain, there had been a problem with the signal tower, and their phones had no signal at all. Now his assistant quickly informed his boss about all the investigations done so far. A little later, the two of them examined the body of a man whose face had been completely destroyed. Later, we see that during heavy rain, a young couple was traveling in their car. Suddenly, the river monster attacked them, and chaos spread throughout the neighborhood. People began running in fear so they would not become the monster's next victim. The next morning, the inspector was sitting in a coffee shop with his assistant discussing the situation when they received another alert about an attack. Both of them immediately went there to investigate, but they found only more dead bodies and scenes of destruction caused by the monster. After a while, James met the commander, and together they gathered all the officers at the police station to create a solid plan to capture that demonic creature. As soon as the meeting ended, the investigator received a call from his daughter's school and had to leave to pick her up before school ended because she had gotten into a fight with her classmate. Meanwhile, the two investigators met doctors at the hospital and asked about the condition of the new victims. They also asked Lynn again to tell them what had happened in her village. But Lynn no longer had the courage to talk about it and simply sat beside her son. Soon Kang stood up to go to the bathroom. When he entered the bathroom, he began seeing strange things. When he removed the bandage from his shoulder, he saw that something sticky was coming out of the wound. After a short while, a clear image began forming in Kang's mind of what had happened to his sister May. He realized that his little sister was actually alive because she had managed to hide in the bushes. Restlessly, Kang ran to tell his mother and wrote on a piece of paper that he knew where the monster was. At that same time, the commander gathered some guards and brave people who were ready to face the creature. As soon as they received the alert about the enemy's location, they all set out to find it. On the way, Lynn and Kang stopped them because they had left the hospital. Lynn explained that her son had discovered the monster's location, and the officer decided that Kang would guide them. After walking for a while, Kang saw that the monster was hiding in an old abandoned shed. He immediately signaled the commander. The commander then ordered his men to throw explosive barrels toward the creature. Surrounded by powerful explosions and smoke, the monster came out in anger and began attacking every person who came in front of it. The unarmed civilians immediately hid, while the others surrounded the monster and kept striking it again and again. However, at that very moment, Kang also began to be affected by those attacks and weakened, eventually collapsing to the ground. Lin was completely shocked by this. Despite this, the men did not stop their attacks and injured the monster even more. It eventually got trapped in a large net. When Lin realized that her son was somehow connected to the monster, she immediately stepped in and stopped everyone. She said she could not risk her son's life like this. The commander realized that Lin was telling the truth. Therefore, for the time being, he decided to capture the monster alive. He assigned his assistant to take responsibility there because he had to go resolve another problem that was happening at the police station. At another distant place, two policemen stopped their car on a road in the middle of heavy rain and decided that they would move forward once the rain became a little lighter. Just then, their eyes fell on a gigantic egg. They were carefully observing the egg when suddenly May appeared in front of them and startled them. Without wasting any time, the officers immediately decided to call the inspector, but the girl was in deep shock and was not answering any questions. After a short while, a police officer reported that they had found a large egg on the ground. As soon as the investigator saw the size of the egg, his face went completely pale. He then thought that he should place the large egg in his car and take May along with him. May quietly went and sat with James's daughter. At the police station, while panic was spreading among the people, the commander was talking to his secretary. For everyone's safety, he decided that until the situation came under control, all citizens should go to the city temple. After capturing the monster, the police placed it on the bonnet of a pickup truck. Meanwhile, Lin was trying to stop other people from hurting the monster further because Kang was feeling the pain of every attack made on it. But most of the people hated the monster and wanted to harm it. Poor Lin helplessly kept trying to stop them, not knowing what else she could do. Meanwhile, in his car, the inspector began talking with his daughter about their strained relationship. At that moment, in the darkness, his assistant sensed something approaching. When they all tried to look carefully, they saw a massive creature standing before them. That was when they realized that the one who had attacked the city earlier was actually just a baby, because the real giant monster was now standing in front of them. In panic, the police officers started running, but they could not escape. From a distance, when James heard gunshots, he decided he needed to see what was happening. He began loudly calling for his assistant, whom he eventually found sitting inside an ambulance. Confused, James started checking the area around the vehicle. As soon as he spotted the dangerous creature, he trembled with fear and tried to hide with his colleague. To protect his daughter, he used the vehicle's radio to warn them that the monster was nearby and ordered both girls to remain completely silent and not move at all. But the problem was that Pam, his daughter, became frightened when she saw the monster, and the creature began attacking the car. At that same moment, the egg they had started shaking continuously, as if something inside was about to hatch. The inspector understood that his daughter could become become the monster's victim at any moment. Gathering his courage, he began firing bullets at the monster. Because of this, the giant creature turned toward James and tried to kill him, but James managed to defend himself in time. Immediately afterward, the inspector began running toward the river. To help his friend, the assistant took an oxygen tank out of the ambulance. When he got close to the enemy, he threw the tank toward the monster in order to slow it down. However, the monster kept attacking the car windows, trying to retrieve its egg. Pam's fear kept increasing. She tried to close the window but failed, and the monster struck the car with its head so hard that a part of it broke. At that moment, the assistant fired at the oxygen tank, causing a powerful explosion that drew the monster's attention toward him. The creature immediately turned toward the assistant. The assistant realized that he would not be able to cause another explosion so quickly, so he jumped inside the ambulance to save his life. Suddenly, the creature smashed the vehicle door open with one powerful strike. As soon as it found its lost egg, the monster did not waste even a second. After retrieving the egg, it began to move away, as if trying to figure out where its other baby had gone. After this, when Pam stepped outside, she saw the same monster waiting for her in the darkness. At that moment, James also came out. When he saw that the creature had knocked his daughter to the ground, he rushed toward her without thinking. He felt that the heavy rain was drowning out his scream, so he fired a shot at the tank lying on the ground that his assistant had dropped earlier. As soon as the explosion occurred, the monster began moving toward him. When Pam saw that her father was in danger, she began screaming loudly while crawling on the ground. But James did not move from his spot. Just as the monster was about to kill him, it suddenly heard the cries of its other baby, which was still trapped in the truck among the crowd. Because of this, the monster immediately ran off to save its child. James did not waste a single moment. He picked up his daughter in his arms and quickly left the place. A few minutes later, the gigantic creature had reached the city, where a little girl saw it from the window of her house. At that same moment, James contacted the commander and warned him that the monster was coming. The commander understood that there was very little time. Therefore, he immediately ordered everyone to go to the temple, and people began evacuating the city in a hurry. Meanwhile, on the way to the hospital, James tried to comfort his daughter, who had been badly injured during the monster's attack. The inspector promised her that when all of this was over, they would start a new life together as a happy family. But before she could respond to her father, Pam's breathing slowly stopped, and she died in her father's arms. At that same time, the monster reached the crowd of fleeing people and roared loudly, causing chaos everywhere. A few seconds later, James arrived there with an ambulance. When he saw that a little girl had been left alone on the road, he decided to pick her up and save her. Meanwhile, the monster approached a vehicle where the two researchers were trying to save their lives, but they were surprised when they saw that the monster ignored them and moved in another direction. The researchers realized that the creature was searching for its baby and was probably calling it by roaring, so they took a radio from a soldier and explained everything to the commander. At the same time, Kang also decided to take action. After hugging his mother one last time, he staggered toward the truck. There, he attacked the baby monster so that the larger creature's attention would turn toward him. Eventually, Kang sat in the driver's seat and prepared to drive away, while his mother ran toward a bus in the distance. Within seconds, Kang drove rapidly through the streets and used the baby's cries to attract the attention of the big monster, leading it farther and farther away. The next morning, the commander gave a statement to the media during a press conference. Together with the other officers at the police station, he decided that the truth of the entire night would be hidden. They said that any leaked videos were merely recordings from an underground film and that no real monster had attacked the city. Meanwhile, in the middle of the city, May reunited with her mother, and the two embraced each other with relief. At the same time, James was saying goodbye to his dead daughter. At that moment, James remembered his conversation with the commander, in which the commander had told him that the existence of the creature must be kept a secret. Otherwise, in the attempt to hunt this monster, many strange people might come here, which could make the situation even worse. James knew that it was unfair to the dead that their deaths were being hidden like this, but even so, James remained silent. Before leaving, he handed his badge to the commander, showing that he no longer wanted to be a part of all this. No matter how much the police tried to suppress the truth, the fear and anger of that night always remained a reality for the people of the city, because they had witnessed the terrifying scene with their own eyes. As time passed, most people tried to forget everything, but near the river beside the city, the monster's claw marks could still be seen in the soil. The vehicle that Kang had left behind during his sacrifice was also still there. 5 years later, James returned to work in the area outside the city. He decided to keep an eye on May, because ever since that night when she was found near the creature's egg, her behavior had seemed very strange. One night, James secretly followed May and reached the riverbank. There he saw that for years, May had been performing a kind of ritual. She was feeding a goat brought from her family's farm to the giant monster. Now James understood that the girl was controlling that dangerous creature. creature, so he planned a surprise attack. In the darkness of the night, holding a burning torch in his hand, he suddenly startled May. The baby monster thought that its mistress was being attacked, so it immediately jumped toward James and tried to attack him. But James was very quick. With the torch, he burned a part of the monster's face. After that, the creature threw him far away. May quickly took control of the situation and ordered the creature to go back, but James was not going to stop. He detonated an explosive attached to his vehicle, and the blast knocked the target to the ground. And immediately afterward, James activated the second bomb on the truck. While the small monster lay unconscious on the ground, he prepared to kill it with his gun. Just then, May ran toward the creature and tried to calm it down. Seeing that scene, James remembered the words of a monk from the temple who had once told him that anger should never be allowed to control the decisions of the heart. At that very moment, the big monster also arrived near James, and James realized that taking revenge would not bring his daughter back. With that realization, he decided to leave. After this, James traveled toward the highest mountains of the region to search for answers about everything that had happened in the city. When he arrived there, he found a cave. Inside the cave was an old temple of Buddha. Nearby on the wall were many drawings, including images of a terrifying creature. It seemed as if that being had been roaming this land for thousands of years. In the end, all the candles burning in front of the statue suddenly went out. When James turned around, he realized that he was standing face to face with that gigantic creature. And at that moment, it was revealed that this place was actually the monster's home. If you liked the video, then give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.